Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Stitched. Now, you can see that I've definitely gone for a stitching or embroidery type of thing. But to be fair, the constructor, Blobz in this particular case, is very much pointing us in that direction. It's not unusual for Blobz to actually be posting pictures, not pictures, kind of designs, graphics for his puzzles. And this one is very much about like embroidery. It's very obvious when you actually see it. There's flowers in there. There's kind of like regular shapes in there. It looks fantastic as always from this fantastic constructor. Now, it is actually part of the artisanal Sudoku volume, and it explains why there's already been like 800 plus solves. But what I've typically learned is that mailing list does get a lot of traction with people, that just because there's already been a few hundred solves doesn't necessarily mean it's actually been featured elsewhere. So I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying this particular puzzle for the first time. And it has been way too long since we've done a Blobz puzzle. Now, it's not because Blobz hasn't been creating puzzles. I actually just kind of got curious and checked it out. And there's definitely a couple of puzzles that I would love to play. But I am going to warn you, they are 3 and 4 star difficulty rated puzzles, which I think is his usual, kind of more of his norm. Now, one of these, however, is one of our regular series. I say regular, but you know, one of them is the Oil and Water series. And I think previously I ran a poll as to whether you guys would actually prefer me to just commit to finishing the series even when they get a bit harder. And broadly, you are all on board. So I am really looking forward to actually playing this one this weekend. Anyhow, enough of an introduction. Let's leave Sleuth studying the embroidery and the stitchings, but we can crack on with actually trying to look at today's puzzle and rule sets and hopefully solve it nice and smoothly. Stitched by Blobz. You can see kind of the stitching on the corners. You can see kind of the flower shape in the middle, kind of. Bit of a stretch. And then almost like leaves. So yeah, it definitely resembles the actual picture that he posted. I really should link it up, or at the minimum, where did I go here? Yeah, there you go. This is what it actually looks like. Right, back to the puzzle. Rules wise, we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. Place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, every 3x3 box. Nothing unusual about that one. Kind of looking at the border and just looking at the pink lines being rem bands. So digits along the pink lines form a non-repeating consecutive sequence in any order. So for example, if this cell here is a 2, this would have to be 1 or 3 so that it is indeed consecutive and it's a set. It's being 2 cells, it's not necessarily hugely useful. There is a 3 cell one that I am going to ignore. Digits in cages do not repeat and must sum to the given total. So if this cell here is a 2, this would have to be an 8. Make sure that these 2 cells are 10, these 3 cells are 24, 15, etc. And then last but not least, black dots separating 2 digits where one is double the other, and not all dots are shown. So if this cell is a 2, this would have to be 1 or 4, so that one cell is double the other. Not all dots are shown. If that's 2 and that's 4 and there's no black dot between them, that is not a problem under today's rule sets. So fairly straightforward set of rules, I think. Now, if you want to play Stitched, I don't know if some of you are into embroidery. I suspect this is probably going to be more fun, but not to knock your hobby. I am really looking forward to this, and as I'm sure you are, so link in the description down below for you to play. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. Now I said I'm going to ignore the 15 cage because this is solved. 3 cells that add up to 15 without any repeats that must fit on a rem band. So we know that the 3 cells and the 3 digits are consecutive, or form a consecutive set of numbers with no repeats. So that can only be 4, 5, and 6. Go round and you can see there's a lot of cages are actually forced. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, digits in cages do not repeat, so this is forced. 24, this is 7, 8, 9, this is forced. Another 24, this is 7, 8, 9, another one that's forced. Right, where do we go from here is the question. There's a lot of things that are forced, but I was going to say that this has to be 4, 6. That's not strictly speaking true. This cell could technically be here with a low digit of 1, 2, or 3. So this is not forced. Maybe the 15 cage? Let's think about this. So this clearly cannot be 1, 2 on the black Kropke dot because that would leave me with a remainder of 12. 2, 4 does work with a 9 in here. But 9 is not available because 7, 8, 9 are already in a triple in column 3. So this is not 9, this is not 2, 4. Next one along is 3, 6. They add up to 9, which would require another 6, duplicating it in the cage and the box, which doesn't work. So the last option is 4 and 8, which gets me to 12, and our first digit a 3. 4 and 8 means this is not a 3. This is not an 8. I was going to say not a 3. It is definitely not a 3. And let's see where else we can go from here. 21 cage probably next. It's less interesting. Maybe less interesting. I don't know. Clearly 1, 2 is out. Would require, God knows what, 19, 18, something like that. 2, 4 feels too small. It's only 6. That would require 15. And 3, 6 is 9. That is still too small. So this has to be 4, 8. That's 12. And this is forced as a 9. Even if I'm maximizing this, I'm still ending up with a 9. Okay. Interesting. So the 7 cage has to be made up of a low digit, as in 1, 2, or 3, with 4, 5, or 6. Now it's a bit of a shame, but this 1, 2, 3 doesn't see this cell, so it's not forcing me to put the 1, 2, 3 down here with 4, 5, or 6. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Let me just think about this a bit more. 8 cage. You know, 2 ways to get to an 8 in 3 cells. It's 1, 2, 5 or 1, 3, 4. Now if it's 3, I'll put the 3 in here. This would be 1 and 4. If it's 1, 2, 5, I mean, it seems quite easy to achieve. So I don't know if I'm going to pencil mark this. The only thing that I do know is that there's a 1 somewhere in these 3 cells. Right, I think it's time to look at the stitching. Partly because I'm running out of ideas, but partly because, you know, when I first saw these and I was reading the rules, I was wondering, oh, this is actually quite tricky because it goes all the way around. So essentially, I'm going to need 1 and 2 somewhere on here. Do I? No. We need all of the digits 1 to 9. Let's start with a simple statement. That part is true. I also know that the 1 is not on these 3 cells because of the 8 cage. I know that it's not on here because the 1 in here would require a 2 here and a 2 there. And obviously that would break. And I also know that it's not on here for the same exact logic. So 1 is essentially one of these cells. And if it's one of these two, it places 2 and 4 in here. And then the 4 would accompany a 3. So actually this doesn't work. 1, 2, 4 would require, well, it's actually 3 or 5. Technically I could put a 5. And then I would have to hide the 3 in here because the 3 is not able to pair up with a 2 or 4. And this would have to be, well, 2 or 4, but because of the 8 cage, it would have to be a 4. So, no, it does work. I know I'm kind of running a bit quickly. I'm just disproving something that isn't possible. So, I think I've already said it a few times. I'm not sure what's going on. So this cell is not 6. So we know it's not 7, 8, or 9. I also know it's not 6 because that would be a 4 and would break the 4-8 pair. So essentially, the low digit has to be in here, and it's not 3. So this is 1, 2, or 4. And then the partner is 6, 8, or 9. And it's also not an 8. So that's not 8, that's not 2. These are my options for the 10 cage. Fine. I'm kind of dancing around between the various cages and not really coming up with a lot, to be fair. You know, a little bit concerning. So I kind of looked at the ones for row 1, but you kind of have the same pressure with the ones in... Oh, here is something. Right. Let me focus on these 4 cells for a second. I'm going to highlight them with something that allows us to see them. Essentially, each one of these cells is a pair of digits that's going to be consecutive. One is going to be even, one is going to be odd, one is going to be even, one is going to be odd, etc., etc. Except for this cell, which is not paired up with anything in row 1 and will always have to be odd. That's just the nature of it, because I've got an even here, an even there, an even there, an even there. That's 4 evens, that's 2, 4, 6, and 8 gone. So this has to be an odd digit, and it's not a 1. It is from 3, 5, 7, and 9. The reason I sort of went down that route is this cell is not 8 or 9, because they're already in here. So essentially, there is an 8, 9 pair in one of these pairs of cells. Then we're going to have another low digit in here, sorry, odd digit, excuse me, not low. That is not a 9, it's going to be 1, 3, 5, or 7. I mean, where am I going with this? It's not 3. If it's 1, it's 2, which is fine. If it's 5, it'll be 6 because 4 is not available. It can't be 9 because 8 is not available, so that's at least one thing removed. If it's 1, it's definitely 2. If it's 5 or 7, because 4 and 8 are not available, it's definitely 6. It's actually severely limited. Not, it almost doesn't make sense, but it is. The black Kropke dots have to be useful. The black Kropke dots, because it is in a 2-to-1 ratio, always includes an even number. It can, of course, include 2 even numbers. It could do, as we've shown earlier, with 1, 2, 4, and 3, or 5, or whatever it was. Okay. So if it's 7, so same kind of logic with the 4, 8. If it's 7 or 5, this would have to be 6. If it's 1 or 3, this would have to be 2, because, again, the 4 and 8 are gone. This is starting to get quite interesting. Right. I've got 2 even digits. I have a third even digit. The fourth one has to be in here, and it will be another 2, 6 pair. This can't be a 2. This is some ridiculous logic now. Right. So let's think about this. So there's another 2, 6. I'm just writing it down anywhere. I don't actually know what it is. I'm pretty sure this can't be 1, 3, can it? Well, the 1 and 3 would go with a 2. Then I'd end up with a 1, 3 pair. And then this 6 would go with 5 or 7. Yeah, I think that's okay. So this is another odd digit. Right, maybe I am going to use parity. I wasn't expecting this, but I am going to use it. So the greens, I'm actually going to replace them now with orange for odd. These are all evens. This is definitely odd. You know, 2 evens, 3 evens, 4. This is odd, which makes this even. Because I could divide by 2. This doesn't mean that this is even. Bear that in mind. This is definitely odd. There's another 2, 6 in here. Same logic with another something. So that's definitely odd, which makes this definitely even. Okay. This is definitely even again. This is definitely odd. Exact same logic. No, oh, hang on. No, I don't know that for sure. Right, so I have to have, let's think about this. It's either 1, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 5. So there's definitely 2 odds and an even. So there's 1 even in here, 2, 3. This is even. This is odd. And odds on a black crop guitar are very powerful because it can only be 1 and 3. We also discovered this can't be a 1 because that would be a double 2 around it. So this is highly unexpected, but I'll take it. Which makes this 5 or 7. Remember, I said the 8 and 9 in column 9, they're not in here, they're not in there, they're not in there. It has to be now, there's no other place for it. This is 9 and 8. And therefore, this is 2, 4. Then I have another 2, 4, just completing the column, because 6 and 8 are gone. And I can't have a 4 in here. 4 is hiding in there, and this is 1, 2, 3 with a definite 2. That gives me a triple of 1, 2, 3. That's a 6. This is not 1 or 3. This is 5 or 7 pair. And I'm guessing this is the other 5 or 7. Because there's nothing else left in box 9. But it has to be consecutive, and it's not 6. So 7 would go with 8. 5 would go with 4. And whichever one it is, whether it's 4 or 8, this is even. Because essentially if it's 8, it's 4. If it's 4, it's 2 or 8. Interesting. Which makes this odd. Now we've got 2, 4, 8. Essentially we've got another 2, 4, 8 in here. Hang on, we've definitely got a 4 in there. Let me be more exact. Because if it's 8, it's 4. And obviously if it's 4, the 4 is gone. So this is 2 or 8 with... These are now 1, 3, 9 because the 5, 7 pair are gone. So 2 or 8, and they all work with 1, 3, 9. The 2 even works with the 3. So I'm not sure I can really limit this that much. Interesting. Okay. We're going to keep going around with the parity. It actually worked better than I was expecting. Let's put it that way. That makes this even. The 4 in here, come on, Sleuth, wakey. This is 1, 2, 5. It's the only one that works now with the 1, 3, 4 option gone. Which leaves me with a broken puzzle? No, this is, yes, it is a broken puzzle. Where does the 3 go? Why did I put a 4 in here and not a 2? I don't understand. Because the 4 couldn't be down here. And as soon as I put a 4, this is forced to be 1, 2, 5, which makes this 6. I mean, I'm getting to the same conclusion, which is there's a 3 in here with a 7. Huh? That's why I've made a fundamental mistake here with the... Oh, goodness. What was that? Oh, these were the options for the 8. I forgot about this cell. So that doesn't have to be even, which was like a huge boon. Just a wrong boon, apparently. So there's 1 even, 2 evens, 3 evens, and then one of these is even. I mean, we've proven it's not that one, but technically I'm not meant to know that at this point. Such a shame, it was going so well. Right, if it's 3, there's too many options. Literally all of 2, 4, 6, 8 work in here. So just remember, there's another 2, 6 with another 1, 3, 5, 7. Essentially, the 1 and 3 are paired up with one of these. So this is still 5 or 7. That is still correct. And therefore, this is 4 or 6 or 8. Not brilliant, because it includes a 3 in here. It doesn't force the parity anymore. This is 1 star, by the way. Admittedly, I am solving it relatively late for me. So that's why I'm kind of, if one can say, normally I'm a bit cleverer, but definitely not as I'm trying to solve this one. So let me just think about this. If this is 2, this has to be 4, this would have to be a 1. I'm trying to think if I can actually make this odd. And the answer, I believe, is yes. I could have 6 and 3. This would put a 2 in here and a 1. So this would be 1, 2. The 6 would have to be next to 5 or 7. The 3 would have to be next to 4. I mean, like, it's fine. I could actually make this odd, just like I could make this one odd. I'm just going to reread the rules on the off chance I have... No, I haven't. I'm just not spotting something. So these black Kropke dots, I'm not getting value for money, so to speak, from them. I don't feel like I'm pushing the logic associated with them quite far enough. And I should. Here is a bizarre one. Where does 8 go in column 7? The answer is it's none of these. It's not inside a 2-cell 8 cage. It's not in here. Not an 8 inside a 3-cell 8 cage. That's the only place for an 8. Which makes this 7 or 9. Okay. Which makes this 2, 4, or 6. So it removes the 9 option from up here because 8 is not available. All the remaining options are still around though. This is not an 8 anymore, so this is 2, 4, or 6. And 6 and 3 we've already proven. 4 would go with the 2. 4 feels quite tricky actually, because 4 would be in here. This would be 2. This would have to be 5 because the 3 is not available. This is now going to be 6, and I guess we'd have to pair up with a 7 because the 5 is not available. This would become a 9. And then the 2 almost certainly have to pair up with the 1 because this would have be a 3. So technically I could make 4 work. And I've tried earlier and I could make 6 work, and I'm guessing I could make 2 work. This would have to be the 1 because it's not 3. This would have to be the 4. This would a 6 with 5 or 7. And this would be 3 or 5. This would become a 9 again. It's interesting that this is regularly being 9. Of course it's regularly being 9. The second that you place the 8 sleuth, the 9 is next to it, because where else is the 9 going to go without pairing up with an 8? Come on. That's 9. Which is very interesting because 8, 9 is not in here, 8, 9 is not in there, 8, 9 is in here. And the 9 we already established always have to go with the 8. That's 9, that's 8, that's 4. This is 3 or 5. This is odd. This is not 4. And then there's the other 2, 6 down here. I don't know how useful it is to keep coloring, but I'm sticking with it. This certainly could still be 1, 2. Just looking at the 3, 5, 7s. I can't remove any of them, can I? 2 and 6 are still reachable from all of 1, 3, 5, and 7. Interestingly, right, so 3 and 5, we essentially have a virtual 1, 3, 5 pair. Like we essentially have this virtual 3, 5 pair. Because it's 1, 3, 4, and then the 5 in here, or 1, 2, 5, and then the 3 in here. So that can't be 3 or 5, that is 7. That is 6. That does put a 2 down here. And with the 2, because if this is the 1, that would be 2 and it'll break. So this has to be 1, 2. That's a 3. These are not 3. This is not 1. This is not 2. This is a 6. That's not a 3. That means that has to be the 3. That's the 5. That's a 7. The 7 is not connected to a 6. It can only be an 8, which gives me a 4 in here. And then this can't be a 5. It has to be a 3. Then we have 1, 2, and 9. This is going to have to be the 9, the 8, and this is 1 and 2 pair. Suddenly it's unraveling, and I'm not sure. Like that 8 kind of tricky to spot. It's not the first time I got stuck on a puzzle for not seeing. It's not quite a naked single, because obviously this cell could have been a ton of other things. It's just asking the one question to kind of move it all forward. So in a way, what I'm trying to say is I disagree with the rating so far. It's a very narrow path, not 5 or 6. This has to be 4. These are not 4. That 4 gave me an 8 in here, 4 in there. 8 now is in one of these. I say one of these 2 cells. It can't be this cell. 8 with a 2 in here is totally reasonable. So far, as usual, Blobz' puzzles do not disappoint. It's still a lot of fun, regardless of what the difficulty rating is. We haven't really thought that much about the rest of this, so I probably should. 8 in here gave me 4 and 8. 8 there gave me no 8 in here. Literally no 8, as opposed to a definite 8 with a corner. So this is 2, 4, or 6. We've been down this road before. It really didn't get me anywhere. This is not a 7. So this is 1, 2, or 5, 6. No 9 in here. If that's 9, it would have to be 8. So none of these are 9. This is the only place for a 9. That makes this not 9 either. That 8 made this a 7, made this a 9, made this an 8, a 7, and an 8. Excellent. I've not resolved these, have I? No. This odd digit is not 3, 7, or 9. It can only be 1 or 5, which gives me a 1, 5 pair, which places a 7 on here, not with an 8, with a 6. So this has to be 2, 1, 5. This is not, well, it was never 3. It's 4 or 6. 6 would have to pair up with a 3 in here. 4 can't be 2 or 8. So that is 6, that is 3, and this is 4. 7, 6. I mean, the puzzle is still, despite kind of, I don't want to call it break-in because we're clearly well past that at this point, but despite the tremendous amount of progress, it's still like I don't want to say a difficult puzzle, but a puzzle that's forcing you to think every step of the way to get any kind of progress. So this cell is 1, 2, or 5. 1 and 7 is totally legitimate. 2 and 6 is not. 1, 2, 5, I said. Or 6. So 5 with a 3 looks good to me. And then 6 with a 2. I haven't really helped myself here. I'm just going to move on. Right. What do we have left? We've got 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 2 and 3 are together, and the 4 and 5 are together, which makes these 2, 4 pairs, since they're the only ones that are going to be connected, and then a 3, 5 and a 3, 5. That 3 has given me a 5 in here, a 3 in there. 2, 4 has made this a 1 and a 9, which has removed the 1, 7 option that was in here. Then we have 2 digits that are known. 5 and 6, I'm going to say. That 1 has given me 2 and 1. Then there's 2 more digits that are known. 7 and 3. That's 3, that's 7. Another 2, that's got to be the 4. That's got to be the 6. The 1 and 2 are still not resolved. It gives me a digit in here though. So that's got to be 6. That's got to be 1, 2, 1, 2. Then I have 4 and 5. No, 5, which can only be in here. And then 7. Excellent. This is now a 1 because that's a 2. 5, 6 pair gives me another 2 and then another 5. These are all known. They're 2, 3, 7. That's the only place for a 7. This is 2 or 3. And then we're kind of on the home stretch. We basically solved all the variants. So unless I've made more silly mistakes like I did in the beginning about assumptions, I think we're actually going to solve this fairly soon. I think that's a 2. So 5, 6 pair are placed. So we need 1, which can only be in here. And then I need a 9, which can only be in there. I need 3 somewhere in here. It's none of these cells. It's one of these 2. 3 and 6, is it in this column? Looks unresolved. And then 5 and 7, which is resolved. 7, 5. Which gives me 6, which gives me 5 and 6. And actually that 5 in that Remban, I've kind of ignored that. There's probably an easier way of solving that. 2 and 3, 4, and if I've not made any mistakes, 2 for the finish. It's a fantastic puzzle, Blobz. And either I made this a lot harder than it actually was, or there's another trick that I actually missed other than just where is that 8. Fantastic puzzle. Hope that you guys enjoyed it. See you back for the next video. Bye-bye for now.